readily available on the internet. Go into the NASA archive, you'll be there for days. So what we're looking at, on different scales, we're looking at the first one, that's what I need to put to. This is the Redstone rocket. That's what took Project Mercury into orbit. And then the next stage, Gemini. So there's the Mercury capsule on a different scale to the rocket. There's the Gemini capsule. So this, I think, can you see that there's just one little fellow on his top there? Can you see that? All on his own. I wouldn't like to put him, you know. I mean, he had nobody to talk to, you know. And then the next stage, we had two guys, and they went up on this rocket, which was the Rocketdyne, and on the same scale, that is what took us to the moon. Now, just look at the size of that, the size of that, and the size of that. I just want it, and they're all to the same scale. Now, the rockets are on a different scale to these, but I think you can see Saturn V, it was like 400 feet high. It was higher than the Eiffel Tower. And I've never been to the top of the Eiffel Tower, but I think I might have got a bit of vertigo. So this was one hell of a size thing. Just to give you an idea of something. And I've got another diagram here. It comes from the article where we just put a couple of figures to it, so we'll move on from that. That is Apollo 11 actually taken off. And it's actually left the ground. We have a ignition sequence. I bet you've all heard those words, haven't you? And it's about 20 foot off the ground, and it makes one hell of a lot of noise. Now, a friend of mine did actually go to one of the Apollo launches. He was, I think, something like 5 kilometers away, and he could feel the vibration of the ground. That's the sort of power level we're talking about. Okay, so this is for the conspiracy theorists. Okay, I'm not quite sure what Hollywood studio that one was made in, but according to the NASA records, it was Buzz Aldrin on his first moonwalk. And here we've got a synopsis of the various landing sites, and I'm not sure whether you can read this, I'm struggling. We've got Apollo 11 there, Apollo 12, Apollo 14, Apollo 15, 16 and 17. Oh, I've missed one. Would anybody like to suggest why?
I didn't get that.
What happened to Apollo 13? It never made it to the moon. They made a film about it. Yeah. I think it's only fair to say that although the USSR didn't quite stay in the manned lunar presence, they landed quite a few orbiters, and I've mentioned a couple of them there, but actually a few more than that. What I want you to see is that they're all around the black areas of the moon, these areas. We call these the mares, or the seas, and well, it was thought that they were fairly flat and level basaltic rock. They got a bit of a shock when Apollo 11, because they suddenly realised there was a lot of boulders in the way, and that's, again, that's history. The autopilot was disengaged, otherwise it had crashed into a massive boulder. Okay, so a tradition of the NASA, each mission program, program series, and each mission, they have their own badges. Now, if you look at this one, this is the Apollo 11 badge. The moon landing gadget was called Eagle. They had different names for each mission. So this particular badge has got the Eagle, And that's why he said, Houston, the Eagle has landed. Okay? For Apollo 12, it was a different name. Similarly with Gemini and with the Mercury, I think we can just, good job my pointer's not going to the moon because it's just failed. On the right, we've got Liberty Bell 7. That was the craft that Alan Shepard went up in. He was the first American, I think I did mention that earlier, to orbit around the Earth. And on the bottom bit, excuse me, I've got like NASA images of the various spacecraft. Oh, cheers, thanks Steve. Oh yeah, that one works. So here we've got the Mercury one, here we've got the Gemini, and this is the Apollo. So that was, if you like, an image of the three guys in Apollo 11 returning to the Earth. And you notice that they come maybe the opposite way around to the way you would think. They come with the biggest area into the atmosphere. That's how they slow it down. Because you're coming into the atmosphere from the moon at 25,000 miles an hour, and you definitely don't want to hit the ocean at 25,000 miles an hour. And the techniques, it's too involved for me to go into it now, but they were pretty well established. I've put a few, can you read those figures? No, I can't read them. I can read them from here. I don't want to dwell too much on this, but the total weight was that one, 2,970 tons. Now I've put it all in metric tons, not US. Okay, that was what that picture that you saw, when the old rocket was 20 foot off the ground. It was lifting 2,970 tons off the ground. And the bit that went to the moon, where's the payload? 140 tons. So it took a 140 ton payload into Earth orbit, and of that 140 tons, 48.6 tons went off to the moon, and believe it or not, nearly all of it was left on the moon, or crashed into the moon. The only thing that came back was the actual module, the capsule, that the spacecraft were in. All the other bits were jettisoned or left behind. So you came back with about 12 tons. So all I can say to you is, everywhere humanity goes, we tend to leave our debris behind us, and space is no exception. Okay, there's tons of debris up there from, for different reasons. I don't want to go into this too much, except to say this is a list of all the Apollo missions, and there were many of them. So the first list, with all the detail, goes to Apollo 7, and most of them, bar 2, were unmanned. The next list starts at Apollo 8, and this is where all the manned missions took place. And of course, Apollo 13, which is this one here, this is the one that never got to the moon. The only one that never got to the moon. And I've got all the specs up here. Oh, and the final one, I just want to focus on that one, was between the 7th and the 19th of December 1972, and it was the only one to carry a guy who was actually a geologist, and that was Harrison Smith. Although they brought back a couple of tons of moon rock, etc. Right. That's a very brief synopsis of what happened 50 years ago. This talk could have gone on for another 50 years. There's too much to talk about. So the next thing I want to look at is, where did all that lot leave us? Well, the one thing, I hope you agree with me, yeah, we've got to get back to the moon, but it certainly kept us in space. I hope everybody will agree. satellites routine now, space stations, all the rest of it. It launched what you may know, what I would call the space age. So that was one of the legacies. There was a few other bits as well. So let's go back to, oh, where'd that go? I'm not quite sure what's happened there, Steve. You can always rely on it not to work on the night. Who said it'll be all right on the night? Ah, that's better. Right. We just missed a slide. Don't worry about it. The next objective in relation to the moon was set by that Texan George W. Bush. And he went and issued this vision for space exploration. And he said we'd be back there by 2020. And he envisaged it as a stepping stone to Mars. There was just one snag. He never asked Congress for the money. Slight shortcoming there, yeah? So it never happened. But what did happen was there was a continual progress of space research and space organizations, and more recently, the private sector, Falcon X and all this kind of thing, you all heard it in the news. They're back on the scene again after a 25, 30 year gap really. They're back in on the act, and I would say that generally it's been a productive development, without a doubt. So the latest program, you may know this, forgive me if you do, is the new NASA Orion space capsule, and the program that's going to get us back on the moon is called Artemis. Don't worry about the details. I will tell you that Orion only last week passed one of its major testing phases. So up to now, Orion has passed all the stages of development testing. And if it all goes to plan, we'll have an Orion capsule on the moon by 2024, which is only a couple of years off. And if the plan continues with the involvement of the European Space Agency and a few other bodies, a lunar base, and it won't be where we previously landed, which is the equatorial layer. It's going to be up near the poles, because the information that we've got now tells us with a very high level of confidence, 99.9%, there's water there. And the one thing we need is water. So it's worth going to an area where it can get hot in the day and cold in the night, but we know we can go with that. Oh yeah, sorry about that. Where's Steve? Yeah. Well, I find conspiracy theories very intriguing because they never ask the right questions. And I've had to deal with questions about, well, we can't travel through the Earth's atmosphere because we go through these radiation belts and we all get zapped. And I just said, well, where did you get that information from? And they all look at me blank. Oh, sorry, Stephen, sorry about you, mate.
Yeah, so then, what about them? Just,
hang on, questions at the end if you don't mind, all right? So, but, okay, this is the point I'm making here. America made a massive commitment, and at one stage, around the Apollo 13, where they were still, developing new stuff, they had 4